Hello, Mel Mafia. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Mel, and I am a stay-at-home wife and mom of 2 children. So, as you've seen by the title of this video, you already know what this video is about. This is not really one of my what should I say? This is not really the content I do on my channel. However, this has been eating me up for a while, and I just needed to get it off my chest. Maybe I can relate to some of my supporters and subscribers. Maybe you guys can relate to me. Maybe you guys can give me some tips, and also share your experiences as well. So I'm going to be talking about my childhood traumas. I did write them down in a journal. I was only able to get to 18 of them. And I am on a healing journey. So when I say when I'm on a healing journey is I'm trying to become a better person, a better woman, better wife, better mother. I'm just trying to better myself. And one thing you have to do when you are on your healing journey is you have to talk through your traumas. You have to figure out what's going on, how to find ways to soothe yourself, some techniques, see a counselor, see a psychiatrist, get some things on the ball, There's all types of ways that you can help yourself. And I just started journaling this year, and this year my New Year's resolution is to heal my childhood traumas. I'm pretty sure it's probably not going to take a year, because it didn't take a year for these things to create trauma for me. However, I have been diagnosed by a doctor with childhood post-traumatic stress disorder. So I'm just going to get into the ones that I was able to write down before this video. Alright, so my number one is I was dropped on my head and I hit a cubby, a wooden cubby, and it caused me to receive 40 stitches. So if you ever see, I'm not sure which eye, okay, it's over this one. So if you ever look at any of my videos, this scar right here is where I had to receive 40 stitches in my forehead. And I was not asleep when I got the stitches, and I can still feel the sensation, even if it's slight pressure in this area. I can still feel like sensation. I still remember how it felt to get the stitches in my head. I still remember how it felt when I hit my head. I still remember how it felt my aunt's face when she picked me up from daycare that day. And I remember my aunt was telling me the story, and she was like, why did y'all call me? Why didn't y'all call the ambulance? And she was like, it was just like blood was just like gushing out of my head and everything. So that was like a horrible experience. My mom did end up suing the daycare. She did get money, and it was put into a CD account for me. Meaning I had no access to it. Nobody was supposed to have no access to it. However, the money got spent on something that it should not have got spent on. That money was supposed to be for me to go to college. I'm the one that went through the trauma to even have the money available to us. And I felt like that was pretty messed up, that I was not able to go to a 4-year college and become a doctor. My dream was always to become a pediatrician. However, when I wanted to start college, I was only able to do 1 semester of my 4-year college, which broke my heart into pieces. And I was not able to do that. I ended up having to do free college through my mom's job, to get a degree in education, which was like a secondary occupation that I had in the back of my mind. And I no longer want to do teaching. I don't have the zeal for teaching anymore. I don't have the patience for that anymore. It's just not where my heart is. My heart was being a pediatrician. And also I watched the Ben Carson movie that inspired me even more to want to be a pediatric surgeon as well too. So that was a little hurtful to not have those funds to go to college. Number two is seeing my dad's side of the family favor my brother over me. He had a lot of keepsakes from when he was born, and they told me not to touch his stuff. So one time this is stuff that I can vividly remember from my childhood. So like, it's like I have a dream and I can read, like if I laid down and closed my eyes and meditated, I could have a dream in my head of how this situation, all of these situations actually exactly played out in my head. So I remember he had like, I'm not sure if it was like, it was just nice stuff. He had like his own piggy bank. He had all types of stuff, and they were at my grandmother on my dad's side. And I could just remember them telling me, no, it's his stuff. Don't touch his stuff. And I'm just like, why I don't, like, you know. But me as a child, I was always hawked on. So like, if I was to ask why I didn't have it, I would have gotten in trouble. And I already knew that, so I didn't ask. But in my head, like, I was whispering, like, why don't I have any of these things? You know, if my brother has it, like. And then when I got older, I would tell my mom this stuff, like, oh, they would treat me so, not treat me bad, I guess I would say. But it was just like, I didn't feel loved. So then it was just like, oh, he was the first, and I was in the hospital when I had him, so they took him on. And I'm like, that's not a reasonable answer to give your child. Why is he being treated better than me? Why does my brother have things and I don't have anything from this side of my family? So I don't feel loved, you know? And it's like every time that I went around my dad's side of the family, I was always getting in trouble. I was always getting punished. I was always like, when I hear my parents speak about me to my other family, it was never, oh, my daughter has honor roll. She's so smart. She's so beautiful. She's so pretty. I never heard those type of things, you know. I've always heard she's so fast, and my daughter, you look at that big rump. She's so shapely, or she got too much mouth, or she acts just like you. She got your mouth. Like, it was just always me being beat down on. Like, it was always the negative qualities that I had. And it was never like, oh, she does this, she does that, she's great at this, she's great at that. You know, it's great to brag about your child instead of just making your child seem like the worst child, like I was Dennis the Menace or somebody, just a family destroyer. And by the way, this is my story that I'm telling out of my eyes. In case any family is watching this, this is my story through my eyes. And also, my mom has 3 children. I have 2 older brothers. I'm the only girl, and I am the youngest girl. And I am the most successful. I'm not out here. I don't have multiple baby dads. I'm not strung out on drugs. All my kids are by one man. I'm happily married. I have my own place, and my kids are taken care of. And I know that's normal, everyday adult stuff. That's what I'm supposed to do. But when I compare how I was treated when I was younger, based off the result that I have in my life now, weighing the options, looking at my brothers versus me, it's like I don't see why I was treated this way, you know? So I'm going to move on to number 3. So every time that I got in trouble in school, I knew I was coming home to a beating. I knew that. Every time, and you know, like, when you beat your child, it doesn't make the behaviors go away. It teaches your child to fear you. Children should not fear their parents. They're supposed, because, like, what about if I had a partner who would beat on me and then turn around and say, oh, I love you, I'm so sorry. It hurts me more than it hurts you. No, it doesn't. It doesn't hurt you. You know why it doesn't hurt you? Because you're not the one getting whipped with a belt. This is like, it became modern day slavery at one point in time. It was like treating your child as a slave to be whipping them with the belt. And then you'd be like, oh, I told my mom, and she was like, oh, well, this was how we raised her. This is how we were taught to raise our children. And I'm like, yeah, I was treated that way too as a child, and I knew how it felt. You knew how it felt to be beat with a belt. So why would you want to do that to someone who loves you? Like, when my kids look at me, they look at me like I'm God. Nothing is higher than their parents. Nothing. When my kids look at me, that's what I feel. I feel like I'm God to them. I feel like in their eyes, I can do no wrong. If I hurt them, they'll come back and they'll hug me. The love is so pure and forgiving. And that's why I want to treat my kids so right, because I don't want them to grow up and get a partner and their partner does this to them, and then I'm trying to get them to unlearn the habit of, if a person hits you, that doesn't mean they love you, you know? So that's why this didn't change my behaviors at all. It actually made them worse. I did not go back to school and have a good day the next day. It's always, oh, what's wrong with you? What is wrong? What is wrong with you? What is your problem? I don't understand. Da, 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 da. It's because you're hitting me. Like, look at you. When I see my children and I know they're going to have an off day, I already know why they're going to have an off day. So if my oldest is autistic, so when she gets sick, she feels it everywhere because she senses it everywhere. It's like she can feel everything at once. So I know if her ears and her throat are going and I did not give her anything to help her allergies, I already know she's not feeling well. And if I send her to school, she's going to have an off day. And this happened one day this week because I forgot to give her medicine. Excuse me. So, you know, like, you have to look at your household. You have to look at the things that you do as a person, as a parent. You have to self-reflect on some of these things, you know. So when dealing with my trauma, it helped me learn how it helped me learn how to break the generational curse of not imitating the negative behaviors that created my childhood trauma, because I don't want to be the cause of my kids' childhood trauma. I don't want them to have any trauma. And it also says on this one, I said I was afraid to tell anyone because my parents would threaten me with more violence. So yes, I did not tell anyone that I was being beat because, you know, your parents was like, and I dare you to call the police because they're going to have a reason to lock me up when you get here. I know almost every parent back in the day said that. And, you know, it's just hurtful to hear that come from a parent, you know. It's just, it hurts. And these words that you say to your kids, y'all say words don't hurt. Back in the day, y'all be like, words don't hurt. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words don't hurt me. Words hurt. And I'm teaching my kids that. Choose your words wisely because words hurt. And sometimes it's not always what you say, it's how you say it. So I do a lot of self-reflection when I'm looking back with my childhood trauma. And I remember one time, my oldest brother, he came and told me, he was like, yo, I told mommy not to beat you today because it doesn't help. And she listened to him that one time. That one day I got in trouble at school. And I already knew I was coming home to get a beating. So I was putting on like extra layers of clothes because I wanted to feel as less pain as possible. Because sometimes when you're getting beat, you don't know when they're going to stop. You know, you don't know when your parents are going to stop. It feels like it lasts forever. It's like when you're in agonizing pain, it feels like it lasts forever. That one day, she did not beat me after he told me that. I still had in the back of my head, like, he don't have no power. She still want to beat me. But that day she listened to him and she didn't beat me. So, yeah, I remember my mom beat me so hard one time that I bled. And I remember my elbows are ashy, but I have a bruise still on my arm. Right here on my elbow. I don't know if you can see it. It's like a little dark patch. My mom beat me so hard that I bled on my arm. That day we went out. We went out and we had a family event. I don't know where we went, but I remember the exact road. Like I said, I have very good memory, very good photographic memory. We were riding down this highway called Route 13, and I told my mom I was bleeding. And she said, good, don't bleed on my car. Mind you, my mom had a van, and she made me sit all the way in the back of the van. I told her I was bleeding. She said, good, don't bleed on my car. Now, you beat your child so hard to the point that they bled, a little girl, to the point that she bled. You didn't offer a Band-Aid. You didn't apologize. You didn't offer a tissue, a peroxide, an alcohol wipe, nothing. Not even she did not ask me. This is how hard I was beat. I still have the mark on my arm. And all I got was, good, don't beat on my... Do you know every time I have to look at this mark on my arm, like, it hurts and it brings back that memory? And it's like, it's so hard when these memories are constantly in your head, because now you have scars that are just like they're there and they're not going away. So you're getting this constant reminder of what happened to you from a person that was supposed to love you, you know? Oh yeah, number 4. So this is going to be a long video. I'm not sure how long the time has been ticking, but 16 minutes. Okay, so if it gets to about 30 minutes, I will break this up into 2 parts because I'm only on number 4 and I have 18 of them. All right, so number 4, having brand new clothes taken away. So if I got in trouble at school, I remember one time, I knew I was coming home to get a beating, like, because it was like clockwork. My mom got home at 5. She got off at 5 or 5:30. It took her about a half hour to get home. I had enough time to time myself, to mentally prepare myself to get beat. Like, this is something that I would do on a regular, because I was always getting in trouble and I was always getting suspended from school. So she came home and she was like, take them brand new clothes off. I had taken my brand new clothes off and I had put different clothes on because I knew I was about to get a beating and I did not want to get beat while I was naked, you know? So I put more clothes on. She said, I don't know what you got that on for. You ain't going nowhere. I didn't say anything because I already knew I was about to get a beating and I didn't want her to storm down the hallway, you know? And it's like, I can still hear the sound of the belt buckle. I can still hear the footsteps of her coming down the hallway. So it's just like, it's so vivid and it's so like I can memorize it to the T, that it's traumatizing to think about, because now I sit here and I look and I'm like, my kids know all my movements around the house. My kids know when I open the door. My kids know when I get out the bed. My kids can hear me walk. Sometimes I have to tiptoe to the bathroom so they don't get up. And I'm like, this fight or flight response for me, like, and we had bunk beds at the time. Sometimes I would have to go hide in the closet and she'll be trying to get to me in the closet and she'll just be swinging about and I'll be in a corner and she'll just be swinging about, or I'll go up on the top bunk and try to go as farthest away, like close to the wall, and then she's just reaching over top of the bunk bed with a belt. One time she hurt her finger right here because she hit the bunk bed. We had metal bunk beds that fell apart, and they fell apart, and she blamed my dad that he didn't put them together right. No, they fell apart because you beat me on those metal bunk beds, and that was when they started to break. So yeah, I remember her hitting me with the belt over top of the bunk bed. Yeah, it was very horrible. She thinks I only got 2 beatings in my life, but I would say I never made it 3 days without a beating. 3 days. And my brother, he maybe got 1 or 2 beatings. My dad thinks he only smacked me with his hand on my butt. He thinks he only spanked me with his hand. No, my dad, he would take the belt and wrap it around his hand and hit you with the buckle from the belt. My dad was very mean, very hateful, and my dad beat me so hard one time that excuse me. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry. This is just, it's hard. It's really hard, but I have to talk through it. So I remember I got beat so hard and I was screaming so loud because I wanted it to stop. My mom and my brother was so concerned, wondering when he was going to stop. I remember after he got done beating me, them two in the hallway looking like they was concerned because I was getting beaten. Mind you, a man is strong. So getting beat so hard from your father is just like, and I had got in trouble. I got sent to my room. This is why I'm scared of the dark, because I'm trying to bring myself down. I'm sorry. To tell you guys my story. This is why I'm scared of the dark, because I would get locked in my room in the dark, pitch black, no TV, no nothing. At night, when I got in trouble and got sent to my room, so I wanted to come out. I opened my door. My dad got mad. He told my mom I wanted to come out. I threw my books on the floor. He told my mom, and she was just like, go ahead. And he beat me for filth. Mind you, when I was young, I was very tiny. I was in probably like a 0 percentile for my age, for my weight and height. Like, mind you, right now I'm only 5 feet. This extra weight came from my health problems that I have. But I was very tiny. I was in like the lowest percentile for my age. So like, imagine you getting swung around and just beat, and then you're just a little baby. Like, I still think that at that age, I was still living in my childhood house, so I was still a baby. You know, and I'm just like, you beat me like that because I threw my books on the floor? It was just, that's normal kid stuff. They're going to test you. But to beat me like that, like, you have some built up anger behind you to do that. I remember my dad beat me twice in one day. And I remember we had a metal box fan. We had a box fan. It was metal. The blades were metal and the box was metal. And it was sharp. It didn't have no cover on the front. And the fan was in our room. And me and my brother were roughhousing. And I pushed him and he fell into the fan and he cut himself above his eye. And it was an accident. Here come my dad with the belt. That day I got beat twice. I don't know why I got beat the second time, but that day I got beat twice. And it was horrible. It was a horrible day. I felt like my dad never wanted us to be home when we had to be home. He never wanted to watch us because it was responsibility. You had to actually be a father. My father was never a father to me. Never. Me and my father do not have a bond at all. And we don't have a bond because of the things that have happened in my life. You know, he even called me a whore when I got pregnant with my first child. Like, who says that? Who calls their daughter a whore when they get pregnant with their first child? Like, that was crazy. All right, so moving on to number 5. So, being called out my name numerous times for being a child. I get called mean, evil, hateful, nasty, fast, wench, Those are a few select choices of the names my mom chooses to call me. Like I said, my brothers, they never got called anything. They never got called out their names. Then when I was 12 years old, when I was 12 years old, my mom attempted to kick me out. I don't know why. I don't know if she was tired of dealing with me. I did have a mouth. I did have a very smart mouth. She tried to kick me out. Also, when I was 12 years old, this was before I was 12 years old. I was in 5th grade. No, I was 12 years old. So I was 12 years old and I was already labeled a problem child at school. So the teachers were always looking for something to nitpick. So one of the teachers said I had pushed her. I never pushed this teacher. And I, to this day, can still say that I remember me never pushing this teacher. She was pushing me in the classroom from trying to leave out the classroom. So she told administration I pushed her. They took me to jail. My mom was supposed to come pick me up. My mom did not come pick me up from the school. They said if she don't come pick me up, they're taking me to jail. She still tells this story to this day like it's funny. She was like, I told them to keep her in there. Keep her in there. Keep her in there. I'm a little girl. I don't do half of the things, that these, like if you look at the kids on Beyond Scared Straight, that's something you say to keep them in the jail. I'm not in a gang. I wasn't out robbing people, stealing, none of that stuff. And you're telling them to keep me in a jail cell. It was just a holding cell, but still, that's traumatizing for a child. But when your other sons go to jail, you want to cry. And you want to give them money. You want to bail them out. You want to use the money that I was supposed to use for college to get them out of jail. But me, a little petty thing like I did, I'm not killing nobody. I'm not selling anything. I'm not doing that stuff. I didn't do any of that stuff. I graduated with honors. I didn't do any of that stuff. And like I said, I'm the black sheep in my family. I'll forever be the black sheep. And I'm okay with that. So yeah, number 7. Every time I spoke my feelings, I was read to filth. This still happens to this day. That's why I'm like no contact with my mom. I do not speak to my mom unless she speaks to me. I don't have anything to say to her. There was a lot of times I tried to speak my feelings, but I'm always saying that I'm mean, I'm selfish, I have hatred in my heart. Like over stuff that just me telling you how I feel. Why are you being mean to me? Because I'm telling you that you're making me feel a certain type way. But when you tell me that, I try to make it better. So I can't speak my feelings. When I was younger, it was called being disrespectful, and I would get hit. So I try to do it as an adult now because I can't get hit because I will hit back. But it just ends in an unnecessary argument, and I don't have time for that. I'm raising kids, and I need my health straight because I have a baby inside me right now, and that's my only concern. Number 8. So I'm probably only going to go to number 10. So number 8, not being properly educated on becoming a woman. So I learned from the outside world. All right. So when I first got my monthly cycle, I did not get properly educated on what to do when this is a trauma for me. Yes, it is. I did not get properly educated on how to care for myself. I wasn't told, here's a set of, you're going to use these panties for your period. You're going to use these panties for every day. I was not told that. I was not told there are different kinds of pads and there's tampons as well. Which ones do you want? I felt like, oh, if she get a tampon, you only get those if you having sex. It's a comfortability thing. Everybody vagina opens. It's not that deep. It's either you're going to use the pads or you're going to use the tampons. Show me how to use both, you know? Because if I don't want to sit in blood all day, I can use a tampon, okay? It's not that deep. So I was being over sexualized. So now my mom is asking me questions like, am I pregnant? Or are you acting like you pregnant? She would take me to the doctors and give me pregnancy tests and stuff like that. And she would say this in front of company, and it was so embarrassing. And then to say it in front of my father was like, this is a lady thing. Asking me, am I pregnant because I'm getting shapely? Like, my body is filling out. Like, it was so inappropriate and embarrassing to even say that in front of my dad. And then, like, I wasn't told, oh, carry extra clothes with you. If you have a leakage, or how many times to change. Sometimes I would wear one pad all day because I never knew about leakage until it happened. And then I got embarrassed at school because I had blood in the back of my pants, you know? I was never given medicine when I had cramps. Mom never asked me if I was okay when I was on my period. I didn't have a good stock of essentials. I didn't have wipes. And I wasn't educated to make sure you take a bath every day, or you could take one twice a day when you're on your period. Like, those feminine things, I wasn't taught from my mother. I never had my bra size measured either until I became an adult. I was 19 years old when I first got the proper bra size. When I was a kid and I was wearing bras, I was wearing 2 bras because I didn't have proper support. You know? I didn't have that. My mom didn't buy me proper bras. Then she would say, oh, don't wear padded bras because it's going to make your boobs look bare. If it has support, I don't care. Okay? I care about comfortability. I'm not trying to make anything look bigger than it already is, because I already had big breasts when I was in grade school. So, like, my boobs started growing really fast. So it was like I wasn't trying to look any type of way. If anything, I was trying to take the attention away because I started getting a figure. So, like I said, I was caught fast because I had a figure, and I'm like, these are genetics. How am I fast? Because I have things that humans are supposed to have, you know? And then it was just like the talk about my body. Like, I just don't like my body being talked about, you know? And then it would be in front of strangers, and this is what created people to come and molest me. You know, because it's like you're bragging about your daughter's body. So now other people are hearing it, and they think you're selling your child basically because you're talking about my body in public around strangers. And like I said, I can't speak for myself because I would get in trouble. I would be disrespectful. But yeah, I was never taught feminine hygiene. I had to learn it on my own. I learned it from the outside world. Even with shaving, I learned from friends. I didn't know anything about shaving until about, I want to say 7th or 8th grade. That's when I learned. I started to grow hair in 3rd grade. So yeah, it's just like, you know, some things you have to teach your child. And I was not taught feminine hygiene at all. So I had to learn a lot of feminine hygiene on my own. All right, number 9. Not having a birthday party because I got in trouble in school. So yes, this is very true. I did not have a birthday party one year because I got in trouble in school. And I'm pretty sure this was something petty because my mom kept pushing the date back because she kept saying she didn't have the money. But to even just have a cake and ice cream, or just some kind of minor celebration if you could not afford the pool party, would have been something. I never want to take away my one of my kids' birthday, you know? Like, what if I didn't make it the next year? You would have regretted that for the rest of your life. I wish my daughter would have had her last birthday party. Like, what if I didn't make it to my next birthday? You know, like this, you don't want your children to have a core memory of that. Like, when you turn 5, you start creating your core memories. Number 10, being beat until I bled. I already told you guys that story. So I'm going to go ahead to number 11. Number 11 is going to be my number 10. And then I'm going to end the video. And then I'm going to make a part 2. So this one says, being molested by several boys and girls too. So I was touched by multiple people. I never told my mom when it was happening because I was scared of getting in trouble. You know, I'm not going into the details of who did it because I've already told my mom who has done this stuff, and she does not remember. I actually had to go see a counselor my 9th grade year of school. When I first went to high school, I went to a counselor and I told her everything. I don't know why I was so open with this counselor, but it's like every counselor that I had, I did not open up. So this counselor in particular, I opened up to this counselor and I told her, and she was like, do you want me to tell your mom? And I was like, yeah, tell my mom. We were still, I remember the household we were still living in. And I came home, my mom was like, why didn't you never tell me? I said, I don't know. I didn't think, you know, that nothing could be done. She said stuff can still be done. And that was the end of it. It was never how do you feel? It was never a hug. It was never, I'm sorry this happened to you. I wish I was there for, it was never anything to make me feel better. She forgot. And I want to say it was about 10 people that did this. And that's just me thinking off the top of my head. So it's just like when you think of these things and you're a mother and you go back and you tell your mother these things and you know these things happen to you as well in your childhood, you should know the exact things to say to your daughter. You should know exactly how your daughter feels. You should know exactly, you know, like, it's just some things didn't click. And I know she doesn't remember because one day we were watching Steve Wilkos and she was like, has anybody ever touched you? And I just looked at her. And I didn't even respond because how could you forget something like that? Your only daughter, your youngest child, had told you her 9th grade year, this was back in 2009, had told you that she was, well, the counselor had told her, because like I said, I'm not comfortable with telling my mom certain things at that time, but like the counselor told you and you don't remember that. So it was just like, that just, thinking back on that, it just made me realize the type of mother I have. And the type of love and care she has for me. So, that wraps up part 1 of my childhood traumas. I know this is not my usual content, but I just owe myself talking about it. And I feel like talking to other people who may have experienced the same thing may help me on my healing journey. I do talk to my husband about this stuff a lot, but I don't want to overwhelm him too much. So, and he's okay, because he still hears stuff till this day. But I don't want to like overwhelm him with that, and I only go to therapy once a month, so it's like, I can't really, when I'm not at therapy, I have to find a way to cope with this when I'm not at therapy. And like I said, this is my story through my eyes. So if it's any family watching this and you feel any type of way, please do not take it out on my mom. And also, if you want to cuss me out, I don't care. More than likely, I'll block you. But yeah, that's just a little bit of my childhood trauma. This is part 1. I will be uploading part 2 soon. And if you made it this far, thank you for watching. Please leave a comment. Tell me your experience. Make sure you like and subscribe. Turn on your post notifications. And see you in my next video.